Hi! Hello! Welcome! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I didn't know you were here. Welcome to Cooking with... let's cook with Charles. Cooking with Charles. That's me. That's it. Thank you. Please, sit down. No, you're too kind. You're too kind. Both of you people in this room. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello, and welcome to Cooking with Charles. Today, we are cooking with someone else as well. We have a special treat. So we have all these beautiful ingredients I see in front of me, and we are going to make something that I think is going to blow your minds and your taste buds in a great way. So we're going to bring in our wonderful sous chef and talented head baker, Taylor Jarvis, from the Harvest Table. So without further ado, let's get her in here now. Taylor! Jarvis, come on, Taylor! Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Jarvis!
Hello, everyone in the room. It's nice to see you.
I didn't know you were there. I thought you were way over there. Well, I'm glad you could make it today, Taylor.
Yeah, me too.
So, what are we doing today?
We are making tomato pie.
Oh, gosh, that is one of my favorites.
I love
me some tomato pie. Every time we have made, or she, I should say, has made the tomato pie for this restaurant, we sell out within like an hour or two. It's incredible. And she makes a lot of pies. So
make a lot of pie.
I really do think you are going to love this recipe. So if you've got the meal kit, great. Just read the recipe that we included in the box. You've got everything else you need in it. So just follow right along. If you're doing this without the meal kit, that's fine. You'll see the ingredients in the recipe later in this video. So you can just go get whatever you need, come back, rewatch the video, because I'm very silly, and I'm going to make her be silly with me, and this is going to be so delicious. Again, we do want you to send us pictures whenever you make the dish. I don't care if it's with a Polaroid camera, which is really cool. One of those disposable Kodak cameras. They're not a sponsor, I promise, but if they want to. And you can hand draw it. I really don't care. I just want to see your all's interpretations of our recipes. So, let's just dig right in, shall we? What do we do first?
We're going to make the dough first.
Dough, like the money.
Like the pie
dough. Okay, so, sorry. We're making pie dough.
What a curveball.
That is a curveball.
We're making pie dough, yeah.
But what about, so I always thought to get pie dough, you just go to the grocery store and you go to the freezer aisle and they have those pre-made.
I mean, that is an option, but it's not as good as making it yourself.
Oh man, okay, I'm so excited, guys. We're going to make actual pie dough today. Yay. Okay, so let's have it.
Okay, well, your first ingredient is going to be flour. This is all-purpose flour. Then we're going to have really cold butter. It's extremely important that the butter stays refrigerated up till when you use it. We need the cold butter so it doesn't melt into the dough, and we can get it really, really thin and it not get all melty.
Okay, well, that makes sense. That answered a whole lot of my questions right then and there. So we have cold butter, we have AP or all-purpose flour. Next, we have something that looks like I want to drink it.
It's actually just water.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, that's kind of like how they bring out champagne in a bucket of ice.
It's water.
Okay.
I keep it on ice to make sure that it stays very cold, just like the butter. We need it to be cold for the dough.
And so we're having cold butter, very cold water, but the flour can be room temperature.
Yep.
Okay, so we're not worried about that.
Nope.
Good deal. Okay.
Awesome. And then we have salt. We've got a teaspoon of salt. Because everything needs salt.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's all that it takes to make pie dough.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, Taylor. The salt, does it matter if we're using just regular table salt, kosher salt, rock salt, ice cream salt?
I prefer kosher salt.
Okay.
The flakes are nice and crunchy and yummy, but if you're at home and it's just normal at-home salt, that's fine too.
Great. Well, let's make some pie dough.
Yes. Well, today we're going to be using a mixer, but if you do not have a mixer at home, something super easy is to just take the butter yourself with your hand and place it into all the butter, and take your thumbs and just push and spread the butter into the flour. If you do not have a mixer with a paddle, this is a super easy way to make dough. I like to use a mixer because it's faster and quicker, and I have a lot of pies to make. So,
she has a point. So is that the same thing? When I see a recipe that makes we're making biscuits or pie dough or whatever, it says to cut in a third pound of butter or cup of butter.
It would be this
That's
technique.
The same thing? That technique.
Yep.
Okay.
Same when you bake butter into your doughs, it releases moisture, which causes the pockets to rise, which is going to give you the flake of the biscuit or the dough. Gives you that little science experiment in your food. Science. So I think we're gonna make some dough. If you're down, if you have time.
I do.
We'll make some dough.
I don't have a watch on today.
Don't have a watch.
Yes, let's.
If you'll carry me,
Okay.
I'll carry me.
We chef.
So the first thing that we're gonna put in the mixer is the flour. I need you to hold this.
Yes. Thank you.
And then the butter. I have the butter cubed, which will be in a recipe. It's best to be cubed beforehand to help it break it up faster. And then the salt. So I'm going to turn the mixer on a low speed. And this is going to take a couple minutes depending on how big your mixer size is. We are just taking the butter down to where it's smaller in size and not such big chunks. The dough will start to get a little mealy from the butter being incorporated into it, and that's a great sign that you're getting close. So from here, the best way is to take your very, very cold water, and I pour my water down the side of the mixer very slowly. An old chef of mine taught me this trick, and with pie dough, it's a more dense dough, and so when you pour it down the side, you're getting that water in the bottom of the bowl to help bring it together. So you can eye it and watch it. Sometimes, depending on the humidity inside your kitchen, your dough will kind of require more or less water, which is what we're running into right now, because it's a little dry in here. So I'm just going to add a little bit more water, and less is more in these situations always, because you can never go back if you add too much.
But you can always add more if you don't have enough.
Exactly. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. And we're looking for the dough just to become one cohesive ball, and then we turn the mixer off immediately after that. Because with anything with flour in it, if you overmix, then you're going to create too much gluten strains, and your dough is going to be super chewy, and nobody really likes chewy pie dough. So I'm going to take this over to our table so we can start rolling the dough.
This is beautiful, y'all.
So, when you're doing pie dough, you're going to have your bench flour, which is just sprinkling some flour onto your bench. So when you roll it out, because it's butter and it's sticky, and it'll stick really bad, and your dough will be a mess.
Not that we would know by experience or anything.
No, not me. So we have this beautiful pie dough here. I am going to grab a little bit more flour for the top of it. And you're just doing like a light dusting. It's not a lot. And then I'm going to take my hands and kind of form. Now the recipe that you guys are going to have in your meal kits is going to give you a little bit extra dough than you're going to use for the pie. So you can ball up your extra dough and store it for later for a smaller project. You can top your pie crust with another layer of crust with it. There's a lot of options to use your extra dough with.
And I've got your rolling pin. I'm guessing we're going to
Yeah, I mean, if you want to try with that one, you can go ahead and try if you like.
Okay. It's always good to start in the middle and work your way out, right?
Yep. That's perfect size for you, Charles.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I think I've got this bigger one here that might work a little bit better if you want to use this one. I like it. It's cute, you know?
So I'm going to put a little bit of this excess bench
Yeah.
flour on my
We
dowel.
just love flour
We
around
do.
here.
As you can see from our video,
Woo!
we kind of wear it sometimes.
All the time.
I'm a little bit cleaner than she is.
Covered in flour all the time.
But yeah, a good technique whenever you're rolling out dough, I think, is you start in the middle of your dough and work your way out very evenly. Don't push down too hard. Same thing coming back towards you. To the right. To the left. I guess that would be your right. Some diagonals. Nice even pressure.
Now, Charles.
Yes.
It is pie dough.
Okay.
And we did talk about not overworking the dough in the mixer.
Yeah.
And we also can't overwork it while we're rolling the dough out.
That makes sense to me.
So every roll counts when you're making pie dough. And when you are rolling it, you need to be aggressive.
Okay.
You need to be strong. And you need to make sure every roll counts for something.
Okay.
There we go. And we're going to be rolling the dough out to around a 1/4 inch roughly, depending on what size pie pan you have in your house. If you have a glass one or you're using a metal tin, they can range anywhere from 4 inches to 12.
Running out of room.
It's a lot of dough.
A lot of dough.
You can never have too much dough.
See, that's why you should like and subscribe to our channel, because we teach you how to make a lot of dough.
This is looking fantastic.
Thank you. I am not a baker. So I'm making apparently a piece of Picasso art.
Yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous.
Okay.
And what's cool about pie dough is you're only going to need like a little, a little area of it.
Okay.
But I'm really loving this, Charles. I think you've done phenomenal.
Thank you.
This is fantastic.
Thanks.
Do you think that you could find me some spray?
Yeah, I can.
We do need some spray. We're going to spray our pan just to make sure that our crust doesn't stick when we go to cut it and remove it from the pan. I'm a heavy sprayer. People make comments about my spraying technique. I really like to spray things, I guess. Yeah, I told you it's a lot of spray. But in my opinion, more spray means like less sticking, and I'd much rather spray a lot and have everybody yell at me than my stuff stick. So we're going to take our dough and we're just going to place it inside over our pan. And at this point, you definitely can start removing some excess from around it. I'll cut it. If you have kitchen shears nearby, you can just cut it, which is also extremely easy. Just don't cut yourself. It can look super sloppy, and that's okay because I'm going to teach you how to crimp the edges of your pie crust, and so it won't even matter. Charles is playing in the extra dough.
Play dough.
So, you're going to take any excess that you have over, and you're just going to kind of fold it under the sides. And I go around the whole pie and fold it under. A little long. This is good because it's going to kind of give you a little bit thicker of an outside crust, and you want your crust to be thick. So I'm going to take my fingers like this, and then I'm going to push my thumb into my fingers while there's dough there, just like that. And then you have a perfect crimp. And you're just going to keep doing it all around your edge of your pie. Personally, I'm a fan of taking your pie dough to the edge of your pan just so it covers up your pan, and when you look at your pie, you're only getting crust. Charles, would you like to Would you like to try?
This looks phenomenal. Hello, Clarice.
Dr. Lecter, can you come over here and help me, please?
Yes, I would love to help crimp.
I want to teach you how to crimp.
Please, because I'm not good at baking.
I know.
Okay, that's lovely.
See, if Charles can do it, anybody can do it.
She has a very valid point.
That's what we say in the kitchen.
Oh.
Okay, this looks great. I mean, you can definitely see where Charles took over, but that's fine. Doesn't really matter that much. So we have our pie crust, and this is great. We're halfway done with making our tomato pie. We're already covered in flour.
Yes.
You've got flour in your eyelashes.
I don't know how. This looks phenomenal. Hello, Clarice.
You know, it just happens, I guess.
Get dirty, get fun.
Get fun.
Yeah. All right. So what's next?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
It is a tomato pie.
Well, then that would make sense.
It would.
These tomatoes, I just want to go ahead and throw this out there. We get most of our tomatoes from Highlands Farms out of Lebanon, Virginia. I have been working with them for so many years. I cannot tell you how great their heirloom tomatoes are, all of their products, produce. And they have a menu as well, which I really recommend. But I am in love with their tomatoes. They are all over the place. Reach out to them on Facebook. That's Highlands Farms. And you can place an order that way. They're at several different shops in the region. They go to several different farmers markets. And I have a surprise. Tomorrow we are getting some Cherokee purples from them.
Oh, those are going to be so good and pretty on a pie.
They are. So I'm going to go ahead and just slice up one tomato here, even though you've got a whole lot there, just so we can kind of see about how thick we want to go. And I'm thinking maybe about 1/4 of an inch, or
Okay. Yeah. Here's a good example. Here's some good. The size of the tomato really is okay as long as they're not just like massive chunks, and we want them all the same size so they cook evenly.
That does make sense.
It does.
Okay, so what I usually do whenever I'm slicing the tomatoes, I turn it on its side first. I hold my knife, and I like to use a really good bread knife. Some people like to use a chef's knife. Some people use different ones. But a bread knife has always worked the best for me. And when I'm holding a knife, I never do this. I don't hold it like that. I put my middle finger right underneath at the very top of the handle, and I wrap my index finger kind of around the very bottom of the blade. This just gives me a whole lot more control. So now I'm going to take off the top. Whenever I'm doing this, by the way, I like to dice the tops, put them in stews, soups.
Or you can just eat them.
Which we do a lot.
We do a
because
lot.
they're so good. And then I just make my slices.
And this does go to show the serrated blade and how the little teeth kind of just dig into the tomato so you have a little bit more of a grip when slicing.
That's a good point. Once I get to a spot where I can't keep holding it on its side to do the slices, I then turn it over with the butt facing up, and I finish thusly. Careful not to take off my fingertips. I hear that's a bad thing and it hurts really bad. I've never personally done it, but seriously, just watch your fingertips.
So now we're just going to layer the tomatoes in the pie. If you want to help with your sliced tomatoes, and I can use my tomatoes. Okay. Now, he was saying about the tops and the chunks. I did chunk the top of these, and I will kind of put these in the corner of the pie to fill in the spaces where the circles can't meet.
So by us spiraling these tomatoes around, we've got an empty circle in the middle there. Is that going to be for a chunk or for a slice?
It can be for a chunk or a slice. The cool thing about tomato pie is when it cooks, it just kind of all gloops together.
It's looking gorgeous so far.
This is super easy. It doesn't really require technique. It's just, you're just throwing tomatoes in a pie crust. I like to get mine really full because, I mean, it's tomato pie. You know, you want a lot of tomato in there.
Yeah.
And then we've got these giant heirlooms. which I saved for the top just because it's gorgeous and they're huge.
Yeah.
This is when size matters. Look at this tomato.
That does, I can see how that would be impressive, yes. But, so we're wanting to come way up above the crust level, is that correct?
You can, yep. It really depends on your personal preference of how full you want your pie once you cut it. It can either kind of like be below the crust if you're a crust person, or me, I'm not really, I like a pie for the filling. So I really like to fill my pies.
When it cooks, does it, the tomatoes kind of shrink a little bit and sink down just a little bit?
They will sink down just a little bit, but then we're also going to top it, so she's going to get even higher.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the next thing we're going to do is put some salt and pepper on it, because you got to season.
Everything needs salt and pepper.
Now this, in the recipe, it's going to say to taste, your preference. Us in the kitchen probably use a little bit more salt and pepper than we probably should, but hey, it's delicious. So we like a pretty decent amount.
It's looking beautiful.
Okay. That looks good to me. What about you?
I'm ready to dig in now, but I know we've got more to put on it.
We got to put the cheese on.
Oh, you're so cheesy.
We got to have cheese. So,
guys, let me just go ahead and point out, especially if you've got the meal kit, we are using goat cheese mozzarella from a local place out of Gate City, Virginia called Ziegenwald Farms or Ziegenwald Dairy. If I'm mispronouncing that, guys, I'm so sorry, but you know I love you. I've used your product for many years. I will continue to do so because it simply is, in my opinion, the best goat cheese around. So, again, reach out to them on Facebook, catch them at the farmers markets around throughout town, and hit them up at Blue Hills Market in Abingdon, Virginia, because they carry their cheeses there as well. Let's do it.
Delicious. We're going to top this with cheese.
Okay.
Now, some people, I'm not going to name who, some people like to put mayonnaise on their tomato pie.
I'm going home. That just no.
I know. I'm personally not a fan. But if you're into it, you are more than welcome to just smear Only Duke's mayonnaise all over the top of your tomato pie.
They're not a sponsor.
I wish they would. So then we're just going to take our goat cheese, mayonnaise or not mayonnaise, and just sprinkle our cheese. We want to make sure that there's not any big chunks anywhere, so once again it can cook evenly.
And let me ask you this while you're doing that, Taylor. If people just are not fans of goat cheese, if they, they, for whatever reason, they don't want goat cheese, can they go to like shredded mozzarella
or
absolutely. Whole milk or fresh mozzarella?
Any cheese really that you would like, as long as it can melt good. You can even do like a pepper jack or any cheese that you have in your fridge that you would prefer more. I'm impartial.
The cheese would be not really
I'm partial to this.
Yeah, I'm very partial to this.
So we get the cheese covered, and the next step is going to be putting some chiffonade basil on there. So if you could just go ahead and have that for me.
So chiffonade, it's another French term. We like that in the restaurant industry. It helps us communicate with each other. Chiffonade is basically a style of cut. It's going to make ribbons, basically. It's really easy to do with leafy things. So this is good with spinach, with collards, kale. Today's instance is fresh basil. I might add, this is some of the most fragrant and tasty, I guess you should say, basil I've had all year. We got this from the Harvest Table Farm here in Meadowview, Virginia. Shout out to Johnny and
Hey,
Aaron.
friends!
So we've got all these leaves kind of lined up, stacked on top of each other. Now we're just going to kind of roll a little cigar out of it. Like so. Use this.
Does it matter how tight it is?
Yes, you want it pretty tight, so it's going to make it into finer ribbons of your product. So now we go against the way that you just rolled it up. So I'm going to start slicing it like that, going this way. Now this brings up another technique whenever you're cutting things. I think I briefly went over it when we did the meatloaf video. So you want to tuck your fingertips down and back. So when I'm cutting this, I'm holding it down with my fingertips, but I don't have to worry about cutting my fingertips off because they're tucked back. And so the skin above my knuckle kind of guides my blade and where it goes. So now that I've showed that to you and demonstrated, I lost my chiffonade, so we're going to do that really quick. And then here we go.
You do that really fast.
It was pretty fast.
It's like you've been cutting for a long time or something.
I have cut a few things, yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah. So is that good, Chef?
I think that's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you just want to sprinkle it, give it a little sprinkle.
Make it rain.
Make it rain basil.
The colors, y'all. The colors are so amazing. This basil smells so good. And when we're cooking this in the oven, get out of here. It's just unbelievable. The smells, like I wish we could put this in the oven. You all activate your smell-o-visions on your sets at home. That hasn't been created yet. Never mind. It does smell really good though. All right.
We're gonna try to keep everything away from the crust, just because when you bake it, the crust is gonna poof up, and we want to make sure that the crust has all of its glory by itself.
Indeed. Yeah.
So, Chef, if you don't mind going and putting this in the oven on 325 degrees.
325 degrees. Is that Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit.
Very important, guys. 325 degrees Fahrenheit, not Kelvin, not centigrade. Celsius? No, not Celsius either. Fahrenheit. Eventually, we'll get back to recognizing the other units of measure. Okay, I'm going to go put this at 325 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then we are magic. So, close that oven door.
Okay, yes, Chef.
And reopen it.
Yes, Chef.
How long do we cook it?
Ooh, we're going to cook it for roughly 30 minutes.
30 minutes
depending
later.
on your oven you have at home and in hot spots. So this is a good recipe to constantly keep a good eye on it and make sure. If you're starting to see that your cheese is getting more done than the bottom of your crust, it's really great to throw like a foil sheet over it. It's a little hot, so be careful. But if you put the foil over it after it cooks, you're going to be able to get your crust really cooked and not have to worry about your cheese burning.
Well, that all sounds great. And I have been keeping an eye on it while you were talking. I think
good.
it has been now about 30 minutes.
Wow!
So, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Jarvis's tomato pie. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's it. That's Taylor Jarvis's tomato pie. I promise you, it is unbelievably delicious. Do yourselves a favor and make this. Again, once you do make this, send us some pictures. Send it to our Facebook, our Instagram. Mail it to us at our P.O. Box in Meadowview. But we really want to see and interact with you. We want to see what yours looks like when you got done. We want to see what you thought of the taste, because we know it's going to be pretty amazing. But yeah, we want to interact with you. So make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.